Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the SpyParty Sonic Cup 2018. We are into the semi-final stage of the tournament, and we've got both those semi-finals coming up later on tonight. But before we do get into that, let me introduce tonight's casters for you. Of course, it is going to be Catnip and Taboshi bringing all the expertise. Catnip, I hope you're excited for tonight.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I am very much so. All four of these players have higher or lower interest from me, and of course Summer Cup overall. So very interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tobo, you've got to witness quite a few of the games, got to bring the action. What are you thinking of tonight's matchups?
I'm thinking they're going to be... I think they're both going to be incredibly tight games, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, especially with the kind of talent we have in the semifinals.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's talk about the bracket and how it all came to be. We have been running both group stages and a knockout stage in the SpyParty Summer Cup, but here you can see the knockout stage bracket, and as you can see, the four semi-finalists are Yeesh, Ryooo, myself, Dowsey, and Pofki. Yeesh had a pretty tough run, actually, having to knock out both Artoriax and JY to make it into the semi-final, but you could consider Ryoo's run miraculous, beating out Yeren in the round of 16, and then Pox, who came second over in the Challenger Division in SCL Season 4, now playing up against Yeesh. I myself had to play up against Alex Air and Nemphlis to qualify for the semi-finals. Nemphlis was one of the hardest matches I've ever played, and really worthy opponent. And then Pofki, he had a tight run with you, Catnip, before taking on Bitbanding Pig to make it into the semi-final.
Yeah, he did. So, I mean, I kind of hope he goes all the way, because then I can, feel better about myself for losing for the overall winner, perhaps.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the Battle of Lithuania is how I put it, but clearly it was just a tight battle. All those round of 16 matches were really entertaining, and the fact that Ryooo beat Yeren as well, it's just so many upsets that I guess no one really saw coming in the round of 16. I guess we'll have to find out what happens tonight. Remember, they are all playing for prizes here, and with our top four, well, we do have the prize pool unlocked. Fourth place will walk home with $20, third $30, and then second place $50, with the grand prize being $100 here, all donated by Royal Flush, Crazy Kaylee, and BRS Kayla. So I guess everyone knows now that they're in the money, but now they're playing to up the ante, I suppose, which is kind of cool. And for tonight's semi-finals as well, we do have the same map pool as the quarterfinal stage, with Ballroom any 4 of 8, Gallery any 4 of 8, Balcony any 2 of 3, Courtyard any 4 of 7, High Rise any 4 of 8, so a bit different from the normal competition you see, finishing on Library any 5 of 8. And then, of course, if there is a tie, then we will go to extra time, followed by sudden death, but we won't really talk about that unless it does come to be. So let's load into game one then. Game one going to be Yeesh and Ryooo. Catnip, you probably can talk a little bit about both these competitors. You played against Yeesh last season in the SpyParty Competitive League, season 3 in the Bronze Division, and Ryooo was in your group.
That's correct, yeah. So with Yeesh, I've had some brushing in SCL Season 2 as well. Some our past cross there too, and he's a very tough opponent. He gave me very hard time, and I was very happy to have won my second match against him in Season 2. But yeah, Ryooo, he seemed very high level when I played with him, and it was a close win for me. And then he goes and wins against Yeren, who I would consider to be a better player than me in general. So basically, I'm very much excited for both of these players, and from what I've seen from them so far, it's going to be a high level, very interesting, very peculiar match. I would say Yeesh is a little bit of more of a behaviorist. Ryooo, not yet sure, but I don't think he's there yet in that category, the same level. So it will be interesting to see significantly different play styles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with the insanity that with the insanity that has been the Challenger division this year, it's always really interesting to see how the Challenger folks match up to some of the more traditionally placed folks in the SCL. A lot of these guys were thinking around silver, gold as far as their skill levels are. So it's really interesting to see how the matches play out, and this is going to be no exception.
Yeah, absolutely. With all the people in Challenger being new players, new competitors to the game, hard to really judge where their skill starts and finishes. But clearly, Ryooo making it to the top 4 of the Summer Cup is no joke. With that, let's jump into the game and get this one underway. Then it is going to be Yeesh spying first as Boots, Ryooo on the sniper rifle. If you two guys are ready to go, I'll count you in.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, let's get it underway then in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeesh doesn't get a great spawn as compared to the seduction target, but is able to meander his way around the room to get there for that early 34% flirt.
Yeah, and that's the standard start in Ballroom. Yeesh is, of course, busy with other stuff, as any other sniper should be, guarding the ambassador, memorizing the statues. We start with an innocent drink take.
And as well as that, because of the low sniper angle on this map, Toby the Waiter and his notorious guest list can be a very difficult thing to guard here.
Yes, especially because there are quite a few obstacles in terms of the pillars and other party goers. It seems we are gonna go for a timer flirt there.
We had a chance to possibly hit a reverse drive-by bug as well, but opting not to, just picking up the second flirt on the timer to bring us up to 68%, grabbing another drink, and we've got a reasonable amount of progress so far, but we'd like to get moving a little bit faster moving from here on out, because timer flirts will only get you so far.
Yeah, and it's 1/3 time gone and less than 1/3 of the mission progress done. It seems that the drink gulp was not noticed at all. We go back to flirt after taking the blue book, potentially bringing it back.
Not able to get the flirt, but we do come away with a contact instead, which is pretty good. As well as that, we ran away with this blue book pretty darn quickly, so that's going to be a good indication of what Yeesh is looking to do. The ambassador star, he sidles right on up to us in the back of the conversation, basically gives us a completely free bug, and that completely changes the shape of the game for Yeesh.
Yeah, and I was looking at the sniper's angle during the bug, so I could not see it. Of course, the position was enough to get a very decent suspicion for that, but it's still only a suspicion and not a guarantee. So suddenly we're in a very good position.
Absolutely. Those kind of things are really difficult to notice as a sniper when it's the ambassador who comes up to the spy instead of the other way around. But now we have a decision to make. I think probably it might have been a good idea to play for the soft tells and put the book back where it came from, but we are going to pick up a second hard tell pretty quickly here, and it looks like Ryooo, hasn't noticed it. So that's 2 hard tells done, one of which was that beautiful bug, the other one the transfer microfilm, and now we just need this last flirt to finish up a really strong first game.
Yeah, and I don't think Ryooo is gonna shoot simply for a flirt there. I would have loved to see a little bit longer wait there to talk, but seems we still finish with the win and mission completion on the first game of the match.
And especially as a neutralite, not even on the radar, a beautiful start for Yeesh.
Indeed.
Yeah, really solid stuff coming out of Yeesh there. Like you mentioned, really interesting that he does opt in for the double hardtail. Almost felt like the gulping was testing Ryooo in the first game because he does it twice. So I'll be really interested to see if Yeesh uses that later on in the series, because game 1's is a great state to test things, and Yeesh goes for a double gulp once in the conversation, the second at the blue bookshelf. So I don't know. Yeesh is the kind of player that does crazy stuff, so I would watch that in the future, I think.
Yeah, definitely some unusual decisions as far as the drinks go, but it certainly worked out for him. Let's see how Ryooo starts things off on the spy side on Ballroom here with Yeesh on the sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We do start with...
Starting things off with the green purloin at the back painting, now stepping into the bookcase for the flirt and getting a highlight for it, but I don't think he's on that guest list at all, and look how long the reject chain's becoming.
Yeah, because the other twin is a suspected double agent, that highlight was potentially for a flirt pairing. That would be my best guess. It's still very well possible that you should remember that he was offered a drink, but we'll see about that later.
Oh, and just now noticing the list is gone. That's a completely free hardtail for Ryooo there. That is a huge, huge start. We've got the 2 flirts, although we are going to need a green test to finish it in 3. We've got the purloin off completely clean. This is fantastic as we now step into the green bookcase for a fingerprint.
Yeah, we do have a highlight already, but so do 4 other characters. So it seems he found a good balance between highlighting some more suspicious partygoers and then avoiding some who could not have purloined. I don't think Ryooo has high suspicion at this point.
I don't think so either. It's looking really good so far. The contact comes off on a nice little green test there. Wow, that's a surprising number of lowlights from that. The green test does come off to finish the flirt, but we only are 1 of 3 guests remaining. I don't know how Yeesh has been able to pull this back, but suddenly, what seemed like such an incredible game from Ryooo, he's up against the ropes.
Well, he does need only 1 fingerprint, so it really depends how Yeesh has been tracking and how high of a suspicion he has on Ryooo. I'd say we still have a very good chance of winning this as a spy.
Still 1 minute and 10 seconds to play. If we can survive either a fingerprint or a center statue visit, that will be the game. It all depends on how suspicious Yeesh is right now.
Yeah, my best guess would be that center statues is going to result in a shot.
I would agree.
Seduction target is going to push away the ambassador, which would leave the briefcase open, but we have to go for it pretty early, and that
and it looks like Ryoo's done just that. It's a fairly obvious fingerprint, but it doesn't look like Yeesh is on it yet. There's the zoom in. There's the shot. I don't know how Yeesh was able to salvage that game, but by God, he did it and goes up 2-0.
Yeah, it just that fingerprint, that's what made it, basically.
Those lowlights are what made it. Good God. I don't know how he does that.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive stuff. I mean, one of the reject lowlights was incorrect, just a little bit, but potentially not noticed due to the fact that Orange Dress kind of does a standing reject where she walks away. Could be Yeesh is confident enough that that was just a walk away and not a reject, but either way, the contact was the big one there. Just knocked out far too many people after the purloin had happened, and it's really difficult to know as a spy whether or not the contact will do such things. However, Yeesh just so strong on the sniper. 2-0 up already, and we're moving into our second map of Gallery.
The spy games have been strong so far, but Yeesh's sniper was also very much on point, which leads us to a lopsided score coming out of the first map. Let's see if Yeesh can widen his lead going in to Gallery in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And from what I remember from Assail Season 2, this at least used to be Yeesh's favorite map.
Oh, that doesn't bode well for Ryooo.
Yeah. But, you know, if Ryooo doesn't know that, which he probably doesn't, It's just another sniper game, right?
Another thing to note, Smallman at the back of the conversation doesn't have a huge amount of cover, but has enough. Oh, is seen coming out of the back there, though, as Smallman, and takes a highlight for it.
And I believe not just coming out, but we were offered a drink, so Toby didn't need to kneel.
This is true. 34% on the first flirt at the painting. Stepping into the blue bookcase here. Actually hits the red test on that flirt, so that could come back to bite Yeesh later on, because flirts are not that easy on this map.
Yeah, gallery, it looks like a small map, but it takes quite a lot of time to walk from one end to another, and you might need to do that quite a few
Hello,
times.
Ambassador. Doesn't go for the bug. It's probably a wise decision, because that was such a good lineup looking for Ryooo. He would have been watching that extremely closely, but now stepping all the way out to the front conversation, looking to pick up this second flirt, which could have been the last, not able to get in the conversation smoothly, but luckily, Sam in danger with the body block. Good thing we're playing Smallman. And the second flirt comes off to 68%.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
That was crazy. What a situation at the front of the map.
That was quite some luck involved that you just gotta snatch and make use of it.
Stepping in for the final flirt, is able to get it off cleanly, but that's all the progress we have with 1:30 to play.
Yeah, definitely not in a great position if you wanna finish by mission completion. Ambassador is close, but I think Bug would be noticed. With barely any cover and sniper looking at right that spot. Instead, we just keep standing there without doing anything else. We're gonna need at least one time ad.
It's certainly looking that way, and Yeesh is heading out to the front of the map, possibly for that exact reason. Was able to get a fingerprint off of the drink, but with this low on time, that's not going to be enough. It is going to have to be a time ad, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Timet and our double agent. Well, no, he's inside actually. So yeah, but something to notice: we did go outside with a drink in our hand.
We did indeed, and the time ad has come off with no reaction from Ryooo, stepping all the way back into this conversation at the backside here for the contact.
Catching
this is going to let off a good number of lowlights, but
Ambassador is at the green bookcase, so if we can snatch a fingerprint from there and then potentially cheese a microfilm, then we could be winning here as a spy.
It's a difficult situation though, with 45 seconds to play and 2 completions done. If we can find this bug, the bug comes off completely clean with the cover from the conversation. Now, getting the fingerprint off of the green bookcase, game, set, and match, and Yeesh has gone up 3-0.
Yeah, that Smallman in gallery, that's why he got the suspicion, and we definitely had great cover there from the party.
That is a game you can only pull off as Smallman.
I would highly agree with that, yeah.
I mean, I'm just going back and watching that bug. That was pretty good usage of the conversation cover, is what I'll say there.
So much cover.
And the bug, sorry, the highlight on Smallman was purely just for Smallman on gallery. Like it wasn't anything else other than that. Potentially could have been because he left the conversation pretty quickly after he took the drink, almost cutting animation. But I don't know. That's just one of those games. That's just one of those games.
Man, the spy play has been A+ so far. Let's see if Ryooo can continue that trend and slip one by Yeesh on the spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Opens the game at the front statue for... Ooh, immediately hits the white swap. Should be able to get a pair of inspects as well. I'm pretty sure Ryooo was able to get in there before the statue was memorized? And if so, that is almost a free hardtail.
It was under the laser to be able to see what the statue was. The question is whether Yeesh was actually looking there.
You have to get the eyes in pretty quickly to see the statue, but it is definitely possible. The swap has gone off, though, and without much reaction from Yeesh, so I'm pretty sure it was clean. However, not able to get the contact off at the front conversation like we wanted.
Yeah, and it seems Yeesh is not even watching Ryooo in any other special way, so that swap, I would assume by now that swap was not seen. Starting with a 34% for the third game, which is good progress, standard.
Indeed, able to slip into the window next to the seduction target there for that first flirt, and now we're heading back in towards the bookcase, but with no clear goal in mind yet.
We wouldn't really need a bookcase, but having a game without contacting double agent in gallery might be interestingly powerful.
We shall see how Ryooo winds up playing this. Definitely does have the blue book in hand. A difficult situation to try to do any sort of transfer with because of the lack of cover, and just winds up having to put the book away. Minute and 35 left on the clock with the swap, 2 inspects, and 1 flirt to our name.
And we are heading out to the outside conversation, where both double agent and seduction target were now only double agent, but still good mission progress. Quite a good banana bread on gallery, actually.
Yeah, banana split comes off. That being said, the back conversation wasn't as full as you would like it to be, and the front conversation was the only one with the double agent in it. Does pick up a second flirt at the windows again, just barely in time. 68% is where we stand there with under a minute to play now. We're going to need another statue visit, which is where we're heading now, and 1 more flirt to finish it off.
Yeah, and we're gonna need a close flirt. But our seduction... You can go ahead, sorry.
And once again, well over half the party low lit. The safety is off, so is the shot, and Yeesh, once again on the sniper side, is able to get it done to keep a perfect record so far.
Yeah, very well played from Yeesh there, and I mean, you're having second statues at 30-40 seconds left of the game, and banana bread has already happened, so it's highly calculated, highly cold logic decision to shoot.
I mean, you got a slight glimpse of the statue at the beginning of the game, but actually, in fact, he got a great glimpse now that I watch it back. The first thing he does is zoom straight on into that those statues, and I'm assuming he probably memorized 1-3, 3-2 in his head. In fact, he would have memorized some obscure basketball player's name, because he has a crazy style where with two-person statues he remembers people who have the number of the number on their back in basketball, which is just an impressive way to remember statue combinations. Yeah, it is. So I'm not entirely sure what 13 is in his book of basketball players, but when he saw that it was no longer 13 and was now 23, I'm sure that was a shock. But yeah,
I might snatch that idea for some matches where I'm playing in voice chat with a person. That's cool.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it is. Like, it's pretty cool. Either way, that's him pretty much highlighting only Ryooo for visiting statues after that, which I think is pretty strong of a example that the swap was credited, and unfortunately Ryooo was just a dead man walking for the rest of the game. Either way, it was a calm and calculated spy game. You have to credit Ryooo. Unfortunately, just the gambit did not work. Here we come to the balcony now, the great equalizer of maps. Yeesh spying as Walt Disney. We'll have to see if Ryooo can start pulling back into this series.
If you were going to start a comeback anywhere, this is the venue you want to do it at, because It's really difficult as a sniper to necessarily get a good read on people, but it can be also difficult as the spy to get a clean game off, depending on what the party does. So if this is a map you like, it can be a great place to get the comeback started. Let's see if Ryooo is able to start things off strong from the sniper side. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And in terms of Yeesh's spy, both of the previous games were around in the middle of the game. Both me and you, Tobo, were going, we're not having enough mission progress, we're in quite trouble, and just like at the snap of the fingers, it was turned back at the last third of the game, even, I would say. So Yeesh is still a very powerful spy, and very likely even on such an unpredictable map as Balcony.
Well, Yeesh does pick up the first flirt at the windows, which is usually quite a strong play, but both the people who could have done the flirt get highlight for it, so Yeesh not getting away with it as cleanly as he would have liked.
Yeah, and our flirt is only 31%, which means we're gonna need a green test.
Oh, when the contact comes off, lets off the other possible flirter as somebody who was completely out of conversation. Not the kind of thing you usually want to do on a map like Balcony. The second flirt has come off on the green test. We're up to 82%. One more will finish it off, but with the green test on the contact there, we've been neutral at this point.
And Double Agent was low lit for, I believe, passing a bump. So that leaves only with 4. Okay, so not as bad, but 30 seconds left, and we need another flirt.
Seduction is out of conversation with 20 seconds to play. Lots of great options in the conversation, and she is going to take one. 13 seconds. There's the talk with 11 seconds left. The safety's off. The safety's off again. He's not shooting. Ryooo, what's the decision going to be? He decides to hold his shot.
Oh.
And Ryooo cannot be happy about that.
It really seemed that Ryooo would shoot there, and I was so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it looked like that was going to be the moment that Ryooo gets on the board, but just wasn't quite confident enough to pull the trigger. That is painful.
Yeah, no, and it was that green contact. Lots of heavy weight on the fact that it was green. Probably also on the fact that Walt kind of entered conversation after that first flirt and windows. And he didn't talk for how long? Let's see. 150 was the flirt. Green contact at 106. So he spent a good 50 seconds not talking. That's a lot of time wasted. And then the first talk comes a whole minute almost later. Now, the thing you do have to remember on Balcony is it's a 45-second flirt timer if the seduction target never breaks distance or you never break distance. So 50 seconds, maybe not as impressive of a time to wait, but I think the fact that it was green kind of just sold it. Walt's been in this convo for 50 seconds already, didn't talk during the BB, the neutral light comes out, and you could see that he wanted it, but perhaps if he had kept the highlight, that shot would have felt a little bit more decisive from Ryooo.
Well, speaking of decisive, Yeesh is on a run to make this a very decisive match. Currently up 5-0, stepping into the sniper side of Balcony. Ryooo needs to find a way to get on the board fast.
I just love the way this game has started as well. It's Damon taking his sons to work. He's like, here we go, guys. This is how I guard the balcony.
Yep. Good stuff. Perfect. All right. Well, let's see how well Damon does his job in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Ryooo needs to win. In theory, he could miss one game. So right now the score is 5-0, and it's first to 7. So Ryooo needs to win everything if he wants to win. He can lose only one if he wants at least a shot to continue.
You think Damon knows one of his sons is a
Banana
spy?
bread.
Anyways, the contact comes off.
That was a sick
pretty
contact.
nice one.
It was cute.
Yeah, absolutely. No progress on the flirt yet, though, with 40 seconds gone, and not in a good position in the conversation to get it, so this is already a difficult situation for Ryooo.
Yeah, we might just opt out for a bug instead, but I'd say that's very risky against Yeesh, and I assume that's the same thought in Ryoo's head.
This is one of those maps where it's far from inconceivable that one of the AI will finish and the sniper will just have to take a shot, but it's never a position you want to be in, so Ryooo, being able to find that 51% flirt at the windows is an absolutely huge boon. And now, with the positioning in the conversation, the biggest spot open is right next to us, especially now. If we can hit a 3 green game, this is a clean win for Ryooo, but he needs this green test.
Oh, our seduction target goes too far for a green. We have to leave and reposition ourselves. But we are banking on a green, which is not a great choice to be in.
Oh no, and the other twin body blocks our path into conversation to make a terrible situation to force overtime. He is low lit, but he was the one talking. Safety is off, so is the shot, and Ryooo finds his first game of the match.
So much happened this game. All right, we need to go over it all because Ryooo goes for a very ambitious but dangerous move against Yeesh here to try and net at a low light really early on. This is where you sip a drink and then start up a contact midway through. If you hit a green test, then the contact will happen. It kind of gurgles in real life, but unfortunately in SpyParty, the banana bread is clear as day. But Yeesh doesn't really credit it too much. Look, see, here it is. Sip into contact mid-sip. Really just fishing for a low light from Yeesh here.
Banana bread.
Unfortunately, doesn't get one with that move, but it's cute, it's dangerous, and it's the kind of thing you want to be doing when you're 5-0 down. Second thing that happens is that bump, which I actually think Yeesh thought was pretty good based on the low light, and honestly, I think I would credit that to Ryooo. It was a really good bump against the AI, and what made it better was the way he re-entered the conversation, if actually of all things. But the third thing that happened actually, and Yeesh is an etiquette sniper as well as behavioralist, but etiquette is you just don't want to mess up against him. Toby gives up on the drink take just as Yeesh is low lighting him to neutral.
Oh man,
a huge hard tell that Yeesh will be kicking himself that he missed, because that felt like it was game over right then. But here's that bump, 2, 3, and then the redirect into the conversation. So it was the 3 bumps into the conversation, which I just think looked really nice. And clearly Yeesh thought it looked nice enough that he just didn't consider the fact that Twin was talking immediately after joining. Overtime shot comes through wrong, and Ryoo's on the board.
And bumps like that are hard enough to pull off when you're not under time pressure, but when you've got 12 seconds left on the clock and you're trying to get into conversation to hit your last seduce,
and it has to be a green test.
And then suddenly you have to hit these crazy bounces? That was some impressive stuff coming out from Ryooo, but if that's what it takes to get a spy game by Yeesh, this is going to be a very difficult comeback.
Yeah, and one more thing to note about that drink take of Toby giving up. So Toby gives up at 40.8, and at 40.6, Ryooo still manages to get the drink. So if he hasn't been watching Toby enough to count how long he waited, in his eyes, Ryooo just took the drink properly.
Yeah, so the hard tell comes at the fact that Toby's lifting his tray as Yeesh is taking, as Ryoo's taking the drink. So that's like an animation hard tell. It was just really unfortunate because Toby basically gave up.
Subtle to notice.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that like Yeesh will get you on. I know that for sure, but clearly balcony, he wasn't paying attention to Toby. There's usually no reason to pay attention to Toby. Ryooo gets away with it, but we head over to courtyard here. Yeesh is spying as red dresser, 5-1 up in the lead, and for Ryooo, you really want to convert this sniper win.
Absolutely. He's on the board now. Let's see if he can string a few together in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We are chasing our seduction target, which is very not surprising from Yeesh. He still does that. Innocent drink take, 34% flirt, nothing out of ordinary, standard beginning in a game of Courtyard.
Yeah. Classical by-the-book start, just going and grabbing that early flirt and then stepping away. And there's basically two options after you grab that first flirt. One is this, grabbing the contact after the fact, but the double agent steps away, so everything is suddenly terrible. The other standard opener is to timer flirt off the top and then go to the double agent. But we might wind up doing both, kind of, because now we have to... Oh, never mind. The double agent's coming back to us, so
yeah,
that
and also,
at least is nice.
There were only 2 people who could have had it as a real banana bread, so those are already highlighted.
Banana bread.
And we're not getting heat.
Second contact. This one does come off, but the suspected double agent splits. Little bit of a pathing issue into the statues, but okay. Yep.
Says that clang happens, not these people that I'm seeing on the statues. On this side means it has to be on the other side, and it's only Oprah who would have been at the statues on the other side. The remaining ones were in a condo.
If he had moved half a second later, that would have been an incredible play.
Yeah, that would have been half of the party low-lit, but yeah, and Ryooo would perhaps get tilted. I'm not sure of his personality within that those if he would, but it's quite likely that you would get at the very least a little bit nervous of, I should have seen this, but I did not.
Didn't wind up happening though. The clank comes off, so does the shot. Ryooo finds his second game as Yeesh steps into the sniper side. This is a big comeback chance for Ryooo. Let's see if he can keep the momentum rolling in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We start immediately at statues, and I believe it says it's Ryooo who chose to go there instead of AI.
Indeed, but the delay before picking up the statue tells you that Ryooo had no designs of trying to slip a swap by this time around. Just goes for the inspects, doesn't get a highlight. So very strong start as we step into this first flirt for a green test and 51%. This is nice.
Yeah, great start from Ryooo there. Great mission progress.
There's the highlight coming off. Probably a delayed statue highlight.
Possibly. I would not put it past Yeesh.
Still a good situation, though. We've got the statues done already. 2 minutes left to play. We still need to find a hardtail somewhere, if you count fingerprint as a hardtail. But that statue does now have a fingerprint on it because the ambassador was kind enough to put his hands on the thing.
We might be able to get both fingerprints within this time frame, and also perhaps a bug, but not now. Yeesh is looking for it very detailed way.
Yeah, with Toby and the ambassador both in the exact same... Oh god, it's just a white purloin!
Yeah.
And that is going to mean a bullet. Yeesh has now found himself 4 match points.
I would have potentially said Buck might have been a better play there.
I agree. With the ambassador and Toby both in the same spot, that's where all the attention is going to be. You do not want to try anything in a situation like that, especially not a white purloin.
Yeah.
That said, it is 6-2. Ryooo has some climbing to do if he wants to get back into this as we step into hard tell high rise. Any 4 of 8. This is an unusual mission layout, but I think something that Yeesh would probably not have too bad a time with, so Ryooo is going to need to get creative to come back into this.
Yeah, exactly. This was actually the when I started playing, which was in SCL Season 2, this was actually the standard layout for high rise. Any 4 of 8 or perhaps any 4 of 7. And only later, only in the season, it became any 3 of 5 as being the main meta. So Yeesh is from the Season 2 days, so he should be very well fine with this format instead.
Absolutely. And he is going to start things off on the spy side to show us how it's done. Ryooo on the sniper side trying to hold on to this match in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And Ryooo now needs to win everything to simply have a chance at overall win of the match, which is not a great position to be in for sure.
No, never is, especially when you've got 4 games between you and extra time.
And we start with more of that mentioned time. With the time at that windows, I believe we might be caught for it.
It may well be.
Oh.
No shots coming off as of yet. 44% off of the first flirt on the green test there with a bit of distance between us, but we do still have 3.5 minutes off the clock after the early time ad, so certainly not strapped for time. It all depends so far on whether or not Ryooo saw anything of that time ad.
It seems the microfilm was not noticed. I could have almost bet on the fact that it was. Because it happened right after Ryooo marked the book, but apparently we get away with it.
And that's a pretty good indicator that the time ad came off relatively clean as well, because if you're already suspicious of that person, you would have been watching closely enough to see the transfer animation. Contact comes off as well, so that's certainly another mission on the board. Does take the highlight, though, for the real contact.
Yeah, the other Spectre double agent was out of conmos, so highlights instead. But that seems to be it. No higher suspicion. And we have 2 minutes.
Oh, the bug, though! It was on camera at least a little bit. I really thought Ryooo was zooming in for a shot there. Turns out he's just keeping his eye on things. I don't think he saw the bug. That said, the second flirt on the green test isn't enough to put him over the top. It's only 97%, but we still have 2 minutes to play.
2 minutes, 3% flirt, and it seems at this point we're just gonna put the book back in correctly. And we're done.
Well, we can't at this point. We've got the film in the pocket. Either way, we're gonna have to do another animation.
Yeah.
Flirt done. Shot has come off. And that is the match. Yeesh, who was probably better on paper, but not this much, winds up taking things 7-2.
Yeah, that drink had a fingerprint, and Rocker had just returned the briefcase. So, and Rocker did have the real banana bread. So you have banana bread, you have fingerprint, perhaps assumed bug, because it's still possible, and you might assume flirt done at that point as well.
Especially with the time ad.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't necessary to shoot Rocker there still, but if it's one of those, I'm gonna tell nil on them and shoot them later, might as well.
Yeah, there was 2 times where Rocker pathed next to the ambassador, so there's definitely the opportunity to believe a bug happened. But I mean, let's have a look at that real bug. Yeesh does something that I think is common enough that people know about it, but is underrated in my opinion. Which is he bugs and then immediately talks. So you can watch this from the sniper camera. Here's the bug, and then if we then switch it back to the spy cam, setting up for the bug, watching for it, starts it, and then immediately starts talking. Not even flirt, just insta start talking. And so what the sniper sees is an arm movement potentially, but then when he kind of rotates around to see, whoa, was that a bug? He sees that Yeesh is talking, and so if you were like, I don't know, 10, maybe 20% sure that the bug could have happened there, but then you see the talk animation, you just all of a sudden lose the idea that bug is in your head, because you just assume it's the talk animation going on. And Twin has a good talk animation because, especially towards the end of it, and if you don't like have talk animations memorized, he puts his hands down by his side to finish his talk animation. And so, especially when you see that, you kind of might go, oh yeah, no, just talk animation. So yeah, really impressive stuff from Yeesh, who comes out of his semi-final 7-2. That's craziness. And he locks himself into the finals. Remember, Yeesh is the incumbent here in the Summer Cup, the reigning champion of 2017, and he's made it to the finals. Second year in a row, potentially to be the first two-time back-to-back champion. We've had someone, I think Crazy Kaylee won 2 Summer Cups previously, but no one's won it back-to-back.
But not consecutively.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so Yeesh has made it to the finals to defend his title, and we'll have to find out who will be playing him in our second match.
Which means a guaranteed at least $50 prize going Yeesh's way.
Nice stuff. That's where you want to be in the money. And now you've succeeded in making it to this stage. Of course, you're going to go for the top prize. And
of course, we still have one semi-final to get through. It's going